Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Becoming Apex podcast. Super fired up. We have Omar Rubio on.
What's up,
local tattoo artist, social media influencer, and just an all-around entrepreneur and awesome guy, man. I know he thought it was funny, but wanted to introduce him. Super psyched to have him on today. Omar, tell us a little bit about yourself, like an introduction.
Yeah, what's up, guys? My name's Omar. I'm a tattoo artist and singer. I own Queen's Gold Tattoo Parlor. It's been open since roughly around 2015. I've been tattooing since 2010, though, and I've known Ernie for the longest time. We went to high school together, but I figured it would be cool to just kind of get on the project also, and just trying to see. I find it interesting what, I kind of knew what the times I ran into you with, like, you telling me, like, I'm doing the loans now.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know like, what level, if you're just doing it at a little cubicle somewhere, not a whole, like, lab setup. You got a whole HQ in here. This thing's sick, dude. This is really cool. This is a pretty cool project here, yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. So super excited, like I said, to have you on. You got a lot going on. You have the tattoo parlor. I think you also, tell us a little bit about how it started, like how you started from the beginning, getting into what you got into, and obviously, like, we'll talk a little bit about the road to getting to here.
I'm more interested to find out, like, the first tattoo you did. Like, how did that happen?
All right, let's do that.
First one, like,
First tattoo. The first tattoo's funny because I feel like that was my it was like a scratch into, like, if you want to say the scratch in the surface, it was not nearly the surface, but it was some sort of a taste of what. I wasn't sure if this was going to be like a career, a trade. At the time, I was just hanging around with a lot of my buddies, whether it was bands. Like, I was in a lot of bands back in the day, and also, if you backtrack, how much time you guys got? I'm kidding, because I mean, a lot of this goes back to the days of doing graffiti.
Oh, dope. Okay.
there you go.
So back in the days, back in the hoodlum days, I feel like a lot of that kind of sparked from getting on the side of trains or getting on, buildings and things like that. But actually, it wasn't a graffiti that you see that is like, it was actually, I was trying to project art. I was trying to create, if we all get a creative name and alias, right, in the streets.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, we want that to be almost like a poster, if you will. So
Picasso.
exactly,
There
but
he
it's
is.
of a name, and that's how. I mean, there's a lot behind it, but I was just really inspired by that. Graffiti art just really drew my mind because it drew me into this. Like, I wasn't really artistic growing up, and I actually had a conversation recently with a client about how a lot of it has to do with, I feel, the way your surroundings and your household, things that they want to raise you. Like, I feel like we could all agree that at some point our parents want us to, like, stick to a plan. Like, I've asked people before, I said, what in example did your family think they had in store for you? Or what did they want for you, not what did you want for yourself? And growing up, it was a very hard thing a lot of tools that are, available now is back then we didn't really have, as far as, like, understanding avenues and opportunities. Like, if in high school they would have told us, hey, you should just learn video production, learn lighting, learn this. One day, what is now, you can have an income in that versus, back then in high school, we were just kind of like, I love graffiti, I love art, but the cops would tell me that there was no life for that. There's no, this isn't, I'm literally sitting in the back of a Clovis PD sheriff taking me to county, and he's like, why don't you do something positive with your life? Or why don't you do something positive with your art? And I'm in cuffs in the back, and I'm just like, man, getting that dad talk, dude. You know what I mean? It's legit. That's what, and so, I had that conflict. There's a lot of tug of war when you're going through this as a 17-year-old, and you're just kind of like, what am I doing? What am I going to do? So my thing was, I was, again, like, grew up in a Hispanic, very traditional cultural house. Yeah. And so my fam was always like, they obviously wanted the whole, like, desk job be something with, like, an office, and that I just wouldn't be able to handle that. I don't know if I could sit somewhere and just be just typing or whatever the case, but I feel like I had to figure all that out myself. I had to really what they were trying to stick it to the plan. You know,
Yeah.
in a sense, like how we all evolved. I mean, think of our first jobs.
Yeah.
It's probably not what we're doing right now, right? So,
L&L Hawaiian barbecue. What's up, baby?
yeah, shout out Hawaiian barbecue. So the coleslaw, baby. Yeah. But I think, you know, back then, my plan for me was automotive engineering,
Okay.
but also surrounding myself with music, whether it was like recording with buddies when they were doing like, we're all like a rap project. Everyone, I mean, we're sitting in a room and a buddy's like in a laptop there and he just has instrumental beats and we're all just trying to be the next Nas or the next, you know, but it was like a high school
Those
thing.
are the days, man.
Right,
We
you know
used
what I
to do
mean
that all
though?
the
Yeah.
time.
So
Yeah.
I grew up around a lot of that East Coast music, which hence came the you know, you listen to guys like Alchemist or like Mobb Deep and they're yeah, you know what I mean? Like Tribe Called Quest. You know what I'm saying? So that was my
Jake.
obviously like the woo. I got a woo tattoo right here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
the woo is well, woo was big in my you
Yeah.
know so like Guru, all that stuff, right? I can name all the and then I became a really big vinyl head, so I was just getting all these like Big Pun, all the original like you know, and so imagine that culture of the music also got me into the whole like man, I kind of want to. It'd be cool to work in a studio to be recording while I'm also going to school to get to do this whole like mechanics and get AC certified and learn welding and learn because
Yeah.
this is what I'm being taught. I'm instilled by my family that you need to stick to this. You need to do something of it. You need to like this is the answer. School. This is the steps I should say.
Yeah.
Go to school, continue this, get your career, get your calling, and then but how are you supposed to attract to that or you know you have to be all in and in the end so this morning I had a chiropractor appointment and whenever we're about to you know part ways my chiropractor she's like you know I enjoy doing this but there are times that it feels like a job and then I don't feel no reward from that and I tell her I'm like you know clients will tell me if I'm tattooing late at the shop I'm like you know they'll say hey sorry I'm keeping you up late I'm like I genuinely enjoy this I'm like I'm in this I'm obsessed by this
Yeah.
and so it's not really a job for me it is but it's like I'm more like the rewarding factor tattooing is stressful like the process is stressful for myself ourselves like I'm not trying to I don't want to sit here and say I'm representing every single artist out there. This is my own experiences. This is like a disclosure. So I like throughout my own experiences and my own thoughts and like the things that what I picked up from tattooing is the clients obviously going through that stress, right? They're like the pains kicking off. I don't feel anything. They're the ones that are like, you know, endorphins are kicking, adrenaline. They're like overheating. They're, you know, and maybe they're about to hit that threshold where it's like, dude, I'm done, tapped out, whatever. And yeah, so it's like,
Not only that, too. I mean, because thinking about like tattoos, I mean, not always, but I'm assuming that a lot of people go in there, they have super like personal reasons as to why they're getting a tattoo. So you get to have those stories too, right? I mean, some of them are super personal, super intimate. People get emotional,
Right.
especially if it's like, you know, someone that was close to them or just like something that's super meaningful and they're putting that on there, hearing that story. I'm sure that's interesting as well.
well, caveat to that, I'd say is when you came in and we did
Yeah.
your arm,
Yeah.
you're just like, you were like, hey, this is why I want to get this done.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, what's the reason for that? And you're just kind of like, you know, I want to get this. This represents, you know. So then therefore we already engaged. So this is like the first time he ever sat in the shop. And that's a perfect example because I was like, I know you, but I don't know you. And
Yeah.
so then you started telling me this is what I'm actually getting into the loans. I forget, when did we do that? How long ago was
No,
it?
this was in it had to be like 2018.
Okay.
So I got in loans in 2014.
Oh,
So I was already kinda doing
You're
loans,
already
yeah.
doing it, but you're saying that you're kind of like trying to push to that tier, right? You're kind
I
of
think
going
that was
through-
around the time when I was moving over to work with you guys. It was during that time period when I was leaving my old company to come with the small broker shop that we had. It was me, him, and Tristan, another guy.
Yeah.
And it was during that time. And so my story was, and I don't know if I've told you it. So I was at home and I lived in downtown. I lived at the Ironbird Lofts. So there was a tattoo shop like right downstairs. They were busy, so I walked up the street. There was another one. It just hit me. I wanted to get it. I went.
I apprenticed there, by the way.
You apprenticed there?
I apprenticed there.
Was it the one downstairs or the
downstairs?
one?
I was downstairs because
Okay.
yeah, that was a Faithful and True.
So I went. The one that I went to was up the street. So it
Right,
was.
no, you went to, but the one downstairs where you were at, that's where because the owner lived upstairs.
Yeah,
That was lost. Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
It's just that you know he gave me my shot, and that I'll forever be grateful for that.
Yeah.
There's no kind of you know, as an apprentice, you know, because I've mentored a few people,
Yeah.
now. But it was hard for me to accept that. Like, for instance, I don't know if you guys have ever. Oh, well, you mentioned earlier you do conferences. You're
Yeah.
kind of mentoring, or you're trying to put ideas or thoughts into like your guys' community, your own group in here.
Yeah.
Like, this is your guys' community, right? Like within here, like the
Mm-hmm.
building. So, I mean, it was hard for me to accept an apprenticeship because I'm like, doesn't matter whatever level skill you are, it's hard to say I'm ready to teach someone. So my most recent apprentice, who's now, she took off. She was with me for 8 years.
Oh wow.
She made the cut. I mean, that's just what it is. And
Yeah.
therefore I can kind of say, like, with the whole, it used to be a male dominant, industry.
Uh-huh.
Tattooing was very, I mean, it smelled like burnouts and jet fuel inside the shop. It's not like, nowadays it's a little more, it's more intimate. It's a lot more, it's okay to, like, hey, bro, I'm having girl issues. Back then it was more like, yeah, I'm going to go do wheelies in my Harley or like, it's just
Yeah.
being real. Like, and so when she did come into the shop, I had to then obviously be like, okay, it's not the typical. Everyone else before that was always like just a kiddo, a dude or whatever. He wanted to, like, somebody that wanted to learn that was a male, and she came in and just kind of like was adding to the killing the stereotypes and the all
Change it
this,
up.
change it up. And so I told her from the beginning, I said, look, I can teach you as much as I know, and then you go from there.
And then everybody has their own style.
Right.
Like they go based on, they build a foundation like that and then kind of go their route as well.
Yeah.
So what do the rings mean, man?
Oh yeah. So I went.
know.
I went to
Went down the street. Yeah.
I went down the street and I was like, hey, can you do this for me? I had a tattoo there already that I got from when I was younger. It was a band name that I had that me and some friends put together. I just outgrew it. Everybody kept asking me what that was. So I was like, you know what? So then this one.
It was a cover up, right?
It was a cover up. It was a cover up. Yeah.
remember now.
It was a cover up.
What was the band name?
So undisclaimed. We'll say it off
Steve is-
camera right now.
Sign up for $9.95.
Yeah.
If you want to know the dirt.
No, and
It wasn't a band name. It
Los Sanchos.
My wife's
was Maria. Yeah.
yeah. No, so I went over there and like I had the guy do it for me, and like it just looked like a freaking elementary student drew it, dude. I was like, what the? I was all excited about like actually like sacking up and actually going to do it, and I was like, what is going on here? This looks like someone just went and drew it. I was all squiggly, it was all jacked up,
man.
and again, I don't know at what point in his career, so I mean, I'm not gonna knock it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but it was
You
not.
probably got The Apprentice.
Yeah, I probably got The Apprentice, dude. It was terrible
Hey, he's
tattoo.
got time right now. He's the only guy not busy. That's
I was like,
wonder
I
why.
hit him up. I was
You
like,
know
hey,
what I mean?
dude, can you fix this? He's like, I can fix it, bro. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went into his shop and got it fixed. But
But if I remember correctly, that was like a family, like the path, right? Is that what the rings were for? Something with along to do with like the family or because it was a consistent band, the ring. What was it? What was it behind it? Like, what was your idea? I should say.
so to be completely honest with you, it's been so long.
Okay, because I kind of remember it was like kind of like some tied to do with the whole continuous. It might have been alongside of that.
I don't need. Okay, so I don't. Okay, it was a cover up. I like the design. It may have had a meaning at that point.
I think so.
Do I remember? I don't. I know that sounds terrible.
Unless you're just like he's just over here just
Bullshitting.
trying to tell me.
Trying to tell you to tell you
yeah,
something.
no,
that-
I am like really bonded to this tattoo idea.
Yeah.
You wrote it in your journal that day.
Right. Yeah.
Because it may have. I haven't really thought about it. Main reason why I got the idea from a soccer player. He said that when he was out playing, he was out at war, he was at battle, so he felt like a Roman soldier.
Right.
And that's kind of where I got the idea. Whether or not it had more meaning than that, I don't remember. I haven't really thought about it since then.
Sworn you would you told me
Dude,
something
and I
about
might
it.
have. I think
Yeah.
it's terrible. I don't
Well, 'cause
remember.
That's the thing, though. It's subjective, right? So if you see a tattoo, or let's say like you use out in public,
Mm-hmm.
it catches your attention, and you ask the person, and they tell you their meaning. Well, it's like, oh, I kind of like that. I'd like to do something parallel to that in my own. I guess like my own description or how I take that in. Like if we all stare at art anywhere,
Yeah.
we'll all take something different from it, and maybe now you just switch it up or something.
And I got it done. And it's funny because I haven't gotten anything since.
Yeah.
Um,
I know. I was gonna say, dude, what you're like overdue.
I haven't gotten. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is my sign
believe-
that he's in here. I was like, I'm at the hit
Bro,
him
I
up.
like tattoos, man. I have none.
Okay, so
You're
I
a
kind
blank
of smelled
canvas.
the virgin skin over here.
Yeah.
The virgin skin.
Yeah, so
It's probably
tell
gonna
me.
s-
Okay, there's no judging, obviously. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
curious, like why?
Dude,
Is it like a
It's my dad.
okay? Yeah, that's respect. I
Um,
get it.
3 older brothers, younger sister. They all got tattoos,
Right on.
and they always try to hide it from him. But I think at the end of the day, he was mad because they got shitty tattoos.
Oh, sure.
Like
That's how it was back
like,
in the day, dude. It
you know,
wasn't,
like-
again, another example of what tools were available at the time, and to now, the tattoo industry, the technology is. It's like you got to keep up with it. It's like the automotive industry. It's like the same thing. Because again, that's a trade I was gonna get into. In hindsight, though, if I was a mechanic, I'm a big believer of like the small business thing. Obviously, we are all considered like small business owners and like self-employed or whatever. The small shops, mechanic shops, really, it's unless they get some sort of like licensing through dealerships, like people are now forced to go into the dealership to take care of your car. You can't really go to that like the guy you used to take your 95 Honda, 99 Civic, whatever, right? Because now you have this 2022 up that if you take it anywhere that isn't certified like a dealership, like it could be anything from your oil, and you skip it, it's like, okay, something happens down the line, there goes your warranty. Because and then they'll fight against it. Like I've heard of situations like that where it's like you got your brand new GMC, but your buddy owns the mechanic shop and he replaced the tie rod or something, and it's like, you should have took it to the dealership. Something similar as that, because they can therefore, something does happen to your wheel system, and it's like it's that tie rod that you got from the local buddy of yours that you're just kind of like you're looking out. Like for instance, like if I were to like search for loans, it obviously would come to these guys that I know versus me trying to, like, why would I try to, like, you kind of want your money to go to a friend. If you can support a friend.
That's a good plug right there.
That's
local. No, but it's true though. Like, why wouldn't you want to keep, and it's funny
Yeah.
because it makes me think of the pest control company that comes to my house. Was I picked up with some random pest control company, and then they were door knocking, and they're like, well, you're currently with this company, but we're local, dude. We're based out of here. Wouldn't you want to support local? And I'm like, you're right, dude.
Was it True Bug?
No.
Okay, they got the same pitch.
Yeah. And I was like,
That's staple, I feel.
I was like, you're right. And I ended up switching over to them. And I was like, well, why am I going to give my money to some corporate company that's out of the area?
Yeah.
I might as well keep it local and help. So you were talking about your start. You were talking about how you did art. It makes me think of some artists like Banksy, right? Like he does a lot of stuff out there. He tries to keep low profile because it's obviously
Banksy
right on build.
he trademarked himself, and he kind of showed everybody I feel like he kind of showed everyone what that to how should I say it? Like if you're gonna make a brand, he branded him. That's like a brand. And that was like a good example of what it's like to brand yourself. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. Like for instance, you guys, there's a way to brand yourself, and you could do that either through the podcast. You could do it through. It's hard because back in the day, it's like the business that's donating the most to Valley Children's or community or something is like you're trying to. It's like that impact. You're kind of coming out to obviously put your business on the spotlight, and that hospital or wherever you're trying to donate, like this organization, whether it's a nonprofit or not, like they'll kind of help you to give that like a brand spotlight, and it's because it's advertisement, it's your sponsorship. But Banksy is a really good example of what an artist did to like show the world that it's like, yeah, this is a Banksy. I'm gonna pay. Did you guys hear about that? There's like a museum where they just had like a banana.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
A couple,
with the
couple
tape.
million, and the guy that
It's
bought
ridiculous. Yeah. Like things like that, and it's like
he bought it, and he just like
bizarre.
He ate it right there, right? Like on
bizarre. That's
got
a
a
brand.
banana
It's
in my
a
kitchen,
brand.
bro.
It could be like let's just say like alongside of branding is also the trend or something. Like Banksy he branded the you could recognize that's a Banksy, and then also a trend to see it, and then there was a lot of mimics, and like those guys that were so.
Have you heard of Alec Monopoly?
Yeah.
The Monopoly. So that guy did the same thing. And I know he would cover his face because he would write on walls, right, for law purposes. Right. And then I saw him do his art like on Lambos and stuff. And then it was only adding to their value. I was like, that's crazy.
A buddy of mine, shout out Tattoo Weddle, he got on. Chris Brown hit him up to write on his Lambo.
Oh wow.
So we went to his garage, and he's literally like on top with socks on his Lambo's hood and doing lettering all across. It's so sick, and
that is.
I want to say he wrecked that Lambo. I gotta check in with him, but yeah, he's an amazing LA artist. Does the dopest script.
So okay, so you said you were doing that.
Yeah.
How did that evolve into tattooing, and then how did that evolve into where you're at now? Like what? Like
Yeah, for
obviously you
sure.
have a strong following. You know you have your own shop.
Yeah.
I think you do some traveling as well.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Tell us a little
So I
bit.
think again back to the whole like getting in trouble thing. I finally kind of snapped out of it and got it. It kind of puts you in this whole like the guys I was around. We had this like outlandish outlaw, and to this day I still have a lot of tattoo artist friends that are like we kind of it's kind of like what do they say about you can take a person out of the hood, we can't take the hood out of the person. Okay, so. You whenever we're together and we're in these like we go to DC now. It was once it was like we're going to the cheapest Super 8 and there's like 8 of us in a room, size of that conference room, like 8-10 artists because we're pinching pennies and we're all trying to pitch in. We're traveling to let's say Baltimore, and the convention we're all gonna get a Uber XL. I mean we're all literally like this was like the beginning of 2014 when I first started traveling. I'm just
You were already tattooing for a couple of years at that point.
yeah. So when I started, okay, so there's like a, I guess a lot of things I want to like to shadow like this build up, but because it kind of repeated itself in my sense, because the guys that in high school, those guys were, they got that calling of doing something, whether it's shifting from that life we were involved in to then switching over to a counseling because they understand the kids that are going through a hard life. They've been there and now they want to be a counselor to these kids and they want to be, and it honestly, I was kind of in shock when I heard that from but I just saw him pass by the shop and I was, I used to roll with him back in the day and we used to like go and do graffiti everywhere. So, so then we're talking, he's like, hey, yeah, I'm actually a counselor. And this guy's, he was always well educated because, we all used to, we get together with buddies and it's like they have a beat, whether it's Snoop Dogg or Dr. Dre or something in the background or some whatever, and then they start freestyling, and we're just that was kind of like that was our thing at these parties or whatever, right? And so the other guys would fall into the system of in and out of jail, right? There's that cycle, and then another group would just follow the system of lifers in a packing house, which there's nothing wrong with that because some people only have that as an option, which I 100% get it because things that happen in life, blindsided or life happens, right? And
Or you just fall into that, man, and
Fall into
it
that.
becomes just your lifestyle becomes easy, especially like
Yeah.
some of the like perks of it essentially, right? It's seasonal. You get unemployment on the off season, so you're next.
There's a lot of things they'll sell you the dream. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
done that. I've done a lot of that.
And then you get comfortable there, and then before you know it, 10 years has passed,
right.
and you're still there.
It's really the environment, man. Like
Yeah.
as a kid, a teenager, as a man, dude, I think I matured when I was like 26 years old.
Right.
But like from 15 to 21, you're still trying to figure shit out.
Right.
And if your environment is out of your control, but you're in it, it's whatever is around. That's your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's why people can't find themselves. They can't get out because that's their fishbowl.
Comfort.
That's their fishbowl. Yeah.
Fall into that comfort. Anybody can fall into comfort in anything. Your own business, you have to find that break into how to get to that next level, that next tier. Like we were saying, like even though you were saying I was already doing the loans, you weren't doing this.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's different
You know what
levels.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you were. This is the whole different level. Like, cause I could tell you just as much as like we all could have out of high school. What's the plan? I don't know. Keep going to school. You feel me? Like so that was, and me. I think my mistake, but I wouldn't do any of this. Like I went through a lot of things that just kind of like
built the muscle though. Built
yeah.
you
My
where you're at
mistake was
now.
I fell in love with work, not the money side. The work, sure, the money's the reward, but I started to understand that okay, working, you're gonna get this. You get the payment. You get this this worth of reason why like this like purpose of work. And then I fell in love with that at an early age in high school. I mean, I had my apartment. I was probably like the only senior being able to do that, but I'm working. Like my counselor was literally, again, I'm like the first generation. I don't have any siblings, so like cousins and friends of mine that I saw like a brother were like brothers, but I was growing up the only child. But I seen both my parents just like 2 jobs, grinding, and then that also like missing out on the bonding and stuff like that. As far as like the parenting aspect, but you get it. It's like okay, it's part of the struggle that you don't understand at age 12. Let's just say, because we're talking about maturity, you said, what, 26? What is maturity? I just told my son. So I have 11 and a 12-year-old, 5-year-old daughter, and a little girl that's about to be 2. So I got four kids. Right. So yeah, 4. So
Shout out. Lots
so
of
I got, yeah. So I'll tell you what, man. There's times when I get in conversations with them that I was like, all this, like, and I don't even call it success, because it's a chase. Like, the reason why I'm chasing this next, avenue is because of you guys. I tell them, you guys have been, since my firstborn. I was like, hey, when you were born, that lit a fire into my ass, dude. I had a.
That changes the game for
You
sure.
feel me? So
100%.
yeah. So do you have kids or no? Like,
I have 2.
2? Yeah. Okay.
Same. I have 2. I have
Catch up,
3
guys.
and
Catch up, man. Okay.
I wish.
So again, in high school, the authorities were instilling that fear, and they're showing you the reaction to your actions, like in a tangible sense, because it's like, all right, you're gonna go do this. This is the end. This is what's gonna come of it is you're in the back, trips to county, and so I had to step back, and I was kind of like, all right, well, what am I gonna do? I have to really stick to the plan. Then I guess, you know what, I gotta cut that out, because this is, again, the higher power telling you also. It's kind of like, hey, change your ways. I went to the college. I have my associate's degree. I just didn't do anything with it. And there's reasons why, but it's like, talk about falling into place. So I got locked up at like 2009, 2010-ish. And that experience, I came out the other end with a lot of life lessons, because being in there, I did enough time to know that was a waste of time. So with that said, I also got slapped with a felony. So I lost my job. I couldn't get hired anywhere. Back in the day, I haven't done a job application in a long time, but I'm pretty sure they still ask you this whole, like, have you ever been convicted of a felony, or right? And so I couldn't get a job for the longest. Who would hire me is the packing house. Mm-hmm. So again, like, I understand that. I get it to a fullest. Some people, that's just the cards that are dealt to them. And I had this idea of tattooing, like, before I went in, and I was surrounded by guys that were doing that. And they were just kind of like, you should do this. Like, you're always around here. You're picking up a lot of game from just, like, watching. And why don't you apprentice? And I was just scared to let go of that 9 to 5. Again, because that was the comfort. That was my, like you mentioned earlier, that's my, my environment of, like, this is what's told to me. This is what is told that I need to be something, to get somewhere. These are the steps. And so I'm like, no, that'd be cool. I mean, I would show up to the shop to hang out with all the buddies after my shift with my work shirt and everything, and just to hang out and just watch everybody tattoo, and eventually start getting myself all these, getting pretty covered pretty heavily, pretty quick. And once I got out of this whole, like, situation, coming out the other end with a felony, my son was about to be born. And so I'm like, I got to rev it up, dude. So I had a lot of things attacking me in different angles. And, I'm just kind of like, tattooing was this, imagine I had to pay the court fees, the attorney, who wasn't cheap, with no job, no nothing. So literally, I don't know, I want to say, and I'll be honest, that I was doing a disservice to myself by trying to, to call it tattooing at the moment, it wasn't. I was doing the worst tattoos in my, that's just how it is for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to
when we
learn,
first
right?
started.
Yeah.
Get started. Yeah.
But I was starting thinking this was like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tattoo. And this is like, I'm gonna, like, push this thing. And I'm getting paid for something that I shouldn't have got paid for. You know what I mean? Because that level was not. But I had to turn that switch off of, like, the passion for what I was doing, more so for the chase of the money. I needed to get this money, and it was either that, and I wasn't going to sell it sideways. I wasn't going to go do some, because I just got out of this, the situation, and I'm like, I'm not going to fall back into this and do something foul. It's easy to just go the illegal route, and I'm just kind of like, I got to get it together, and I got to, so I was like, the only way I know how to do, how I can make this money is by starting to do the tattoos. I mean, hence I was drawing and I was trying to get it down, but I was dedicating, like, I was tattooing nonstop when I first started to really have it click, and figuring things out as I went. And still, like, because next Wednesday, I got to give this attorney outside the courtroom $1,200 cash, or he's not going to go in there and defend me. And so, you know what I mean? It was like at that level. So this all goes back to motive. Like the reason when people come up and they would, by all means, I will never turn anybody away from a dream or like something they're like, hey, I want to learn the tattooing. By all means, have at it. Can you teach me? No, I'm not gonna. I can't. The people that I have taught, I always have this conversation with them. I'm like, what do you want to do this for? Like, why? Because you have like unlimited options out there still. You have a chance to get into what you guys are doing. Learn this, right? There's steps to it, obviously, but it's like you can go. You still have opportunities. Doors aren't shut for you. And I'm not telling everybody to go like commit a crime and give yourself no other option but to make this happen. But that was my situation. So I literally had to make tattooing kick off. I had to make this pop off, or else a lot was line on the line. So there's a lot of that fire that kind of really,
And it's crazy because at the moment, I'm sure you were tripping because obviously you were going through a lot. But at the end of the day, if you look at it backwards, you look at the bigger picture. I mean, God was doing a good work in you. You know what I mean?
Pretty wild, dude.
Think about it now.
Again, like,
and it's hard to see it when you're in the thick of it. But like when you move forward and you kind of see the bigger picture, it's like, I mean, it's a blessing if you think about it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just kind of like, I'll sit and think of these opportunities and these things and all this. Just imagine though, I already did the college. I had these degrees, this associates or whatever, just to really get a start into something. I had my certifications. I was going to do a minor in music and audio, right? So that's why I started getting into that. I was going to go to like a vocational school. Again, I was, but that all stopped once you like talk about a really, so I hit that moment and I feel like a few other guys that had started around the same time I did, some of them, they actually moved out of state, like good buddies of mine, and they were tattooing before me. And I just remember telling them like, and we talk about it, but I think a lot of it was, they kind of quit for whatever reason, whether it's turnover wasn't there, the income wasn't there for them, because it is hard. You have to
Entrepreneurship.
At its finest, Yeah. But I think they were just like, dude, I need to get a lot of it will cross his mind is I need to get stability, I need to get security, and so they go get a job, which is maybe driving truck or maybe but again, it's not your blue collar, it's something that we all have to, like, there's a stereotype that, Hispanics or any race has its, like, outlet of where this race is good for. You know what I mean? And so,
like a trade.
yeah, like, and so for us, it was like, go be a mechanic, because those dads are like, hey, mijo, go,
it's a good
go
job,
do this,
yeah.
go do that, or landscape,
Yeah.
Again, it's not shade to anything when I experienced certain things firsthand. But I made something out of nothing. From
Your back was against the wall too. That's a big testament to that as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that does build who you are today, because especially being an artist for how long, a lot of this is because I didn't quit. I didn't quit.
Well,
that's small business, man. Like you can have 2-3 good years and one bad year, and that bad year can kill anybody.
Yeah.
Like wipe you, like
Right.
make you give up and go work for someone else. And I think mortgages, real estate, whatever. We have our good years, our bad years. Artists, same thing, I'm sure. But also, too, you're dealing with your own personal shit.
Yeah, and it's seasons, too.
Exactly, seasons.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, can you just fucking get up and do it again?
Right.
And again.
So just like with anything with entrepreneurship, you have that moment where you're starting up and you have to build it and you have to be patient and believe and have faith in it. Yeah. And then as over time, you start to build it, because I feel like sometimes people ask me, hey, I want to start doing that. And it's just like, yes.
But so you get in that
yeah,
position
no,
I'm
for
talking
sure. I
about.
get that.
Yeah,
I've gotten that several times, and it's just kind of like, hey, I would love to do what you do, or I want to get into real estate, or I want to get into this and that. And I'm like, yeah, but be prepared.
It takes like
that it takes a while. Like a lot of times, you apply for a job, you get the job, you get the pay, call it a day.
So I don't mean to cut you, but what was your guys's, like, what was your, I guess, your idea or your thought process getting into this? Because you guys are doing the loans, right, and the financial stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we as tattoo artists, again, back to like the outlaw boys that I hang out with, we were pirates. You know what I mean? We didn't want to like deal with, as much as I can go without allegedly not showing what I make. So, but and then reality strikes. It's like, and I would tell people at conventions when we would sit and talk after the convention, and be like, bro, if you want to own anything, unfortunately, you need to do something about your what you're showing with your, with your with everything financially. And so a lot of people don't have where to look, where to outsource, where to find people to talk to. And so I'm curious what led you guys down this. Like, because how long would you guys say you invested into
almost
doing
9
this?
for me.
Yeah.
It's 11. I started in 2014.
9 and 11. Okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
so like for me,
9 and
I
11.
used to
Sorry, I didn't mean to say 9 11. Oops.
Take that out. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
9/11 was rigged. No,
Don't start.
down that rabbit hole.
Flip the table. All right.
Like real talk. I used to be a paramedic before I became.
That's what I'm saying.
In the
Paramedic
finance
to
world.
this.
Dude. It's a crazy freaking first responders.
Yeah.
Working in the hospital, all that stuff.
That's what I told him too, because sometimes he'll be stressing on a loan, and I'm like, bro, you would show up to like crime scenes, like or like accident scenes.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're tripping about a loan,
the
deal not funding. But, go ahead.
But just in general, like I worked other jobs before that, but I realized like, dude, there's a cap to every job. You have to ask for promotion. You got to work your way up. Being an entrepreneur, you control your cap, and I've always wanted to get in real estate, and that was my biggest driver, is because I realized after I got my house, I got in a serious relationship, and then I was like kind of like paycheck to paycheck.
Sure.
I was like, there's no fucking way I can raise kids off this income. And if I did have to make more money, I'd be working more overtime, and I'll never see my kids. I'll never see my family. Yeah. And that's not what I'm working for. That's not life, So that's where I ventured off. And I've always had the entrepreneur, like both my parents were self-employed, owned businesses. And I was like, dude, it's in my blood. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to figure it out. One way or another, I'm going to figure it out. And then I've always, like I said, I always wanted to do real estate, and that's how I ended up on this side.
Right. Yeah. How did you get into that?
So I worked for a bank. I was working for Bank of America. They were paying for my school. So by the time I got done with that, I was a banker for a year, and then I did home loans for Bank of America. Okay. So that's how I fell into it. I thought it was another section of the bank. I didn't think it was real estate. I was just like, oh, it's another area, and you're like on a higher tier, so it was like a promotion. And then I did that for a year for the bank. And then I got recruited by a guy out here that was starting a company, and that's how I got into like the traditional Wild West type lending. Right. And but like I said, but that's how I got into it. But there's a building aspect, and the guy that we used to work for at the time, he was very and I'll credit where credit is due. He was very big on like growth, mindset, audibles, books, reading, things like that. So. Motivating as heck for sure, and it got us to where it was boots on the ground type of thing, where we were building it, weren't making money for a while because we're outside building a book of business, getting started. But that's why I say it now. I'm like, dude, like at that time we were working friggin' morning to night every day. We'd get in like at 9 and leave like at 9.
It's crazy because you don't ever know what the outcome's gonna be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're just again kind of like taking that leap of faith, which is hard. Yeah. But it's like in everything, like tattoo industry is a community, and you guys, there's a community. There isn't, but there is in all aspects, because there's community, and then there's the sense of like the competition, and it's hard because now you kind of hear. So you want to talk about like, I guess more like the whole stereotypes and stigmas, loan agencies or what is it like? People that are property managing as far as like real estate, there's a lot of, I mean, you guys heard about the boom of this, everybody wanting to do this. And then it kind of makes it fishy though. It's like, I understand like this, it's like everybody wanted to be, let's give an example, like the TikTok thing. And it's like, I seen people quickly get on that and pick and catch up to the next guy just as fast. Yeah. Right. And then there's another example I would say like, everybody wanted to get into whether it's like paramedic or like be a nurse. Like I know a lot of clients would just kind of, and it sucks because there are some that are passionate and legit want to be that, and other clients that they say I want to get into nursing as a fail safe or like a it's just I got security and like and then again with tattoo artists, so like COVID happened and everybody wanted to be a tattoo artist, a real estate agent, or you feel me? And so now it's like, but there's levels to this, bro. There's levels to everything.
Yeah,
like
like,
you
I
know, and to like Jake's job, dude. Everybody wants to, you know, like people want to get into it, and it's because they get inspired by some next
have
other.
no
But
fucking
there's
idea.
there's levels. Like Homeboy's a broadcaster.
But the way I see it, especially in entrepreneurship or stuff like that, it's like if you want to get into it and you're willing to put in the work, then you deserve it.
Right.
What happens is a lot of these people want to get into it, they don't want to put in the work, and then they want to be just as successful as everybody else. And it doesn't work that way. The law of reality will hit you. It'll hit you really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like, and there's some people that I've seen, especially even me, like if you ask me, open book, like I'll give you whatever you want. And that's exactly how I know a lot of real estate people that are like that. And it's because they're not giving you some magic code. A lot of people think it's some magic code and all of a sudden you're gonna be successful.
Right.
And it's just like, if you're willing to put in the work that it takes to get there, then you deserve it.
Yeah.
But very, very few people are willing to put in that work.
There's like this, I don't know how it goes exactly, like a saying for entrepreneurs. It's like, I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24/7 or something like that.
Oh, sure.
But it's like, I mean, that's just the nature of this game. Like, you have
Yeah.
to work.
I know it's confusing to my kids too. They're like, "You have your own business, Dad. Like, why are you working like a dog?" And I told them the other day, I'm like, my boss is that client. Like,
Yeah.
I don't show up to the shop, I'm not going to make money. I'm not just sitting here. There's such thing as passive income, which is obviously everybody's outlook. We should all be inspiring to have some sort of passive income. But it's like, I tell them, I'm like, like I mentioned earlier when I came in, I'm like, this is like, working for like you need to have a space where you can separate that home life, because it is tough. It is tough to just, even if you have a designated room to just do like this, for instance, not like your guys, the loan stuff where you can work from home. But then you could get comfortable and not to get anything done. You can't be productive. You can't be, it's easy to procrastinate. And now you have an overhead, some sense of overhead to be like, okay, I need to like do this. And also in the end, whether this is my week numbers, this is my month numbers, this is my annual numbers, and have the projection of like, this is my my goals of these. And if I don't hit these quotas, but you have to put that on yourself.
Yeah.
No one's going to tell you to do that.
and like I said, you have to build it. It's like, I see some people, it's like, for example, real estate agents. They'll be like, I have my license. Where's all my business? I'm on $1 million listing now. And it's just like, no, you get your license. That doesn't even mean anything about actually doing the work and getting the business. I can see that also, like you mentioned, is because, people say, hey, teach me how to do what you do. Yeah. And it also takes I'm assuming some natural artistic ability. I don't know how to draw.
Yeah.
How am I going to draw? I can't draw on a piece of paper. How am I going to draw on someone's skin? You know what I mean? So it takes also that. So there's also, and you put all that together, because then even then, what if you're a really good drawer, but you're not a good marketer, you're not a good
There's
person,
a lot of that. There's
and
a
you're
lot
not,
to it.
you're not good at getting the business. So it's like, you could be the greatest tattoo artist in the world, but if no one comes to you, then what's the point of that?
I know some amazing artists that are super, like, they're not, let's say they're in Kentucky, not even known. They're not and it's kind of like, and I was curious because I was going to ask you guys this because I'm kind of talking from what I've heard. I'm just reporting from what I heard in the field, I just feel like, from the streets, like I hear a lot of people when it comes to loans, and it's kind of like, oh, they're just out to get you, or they just want to, because it's hard for us. Let's say on this side of it, right? And I'm just kind of, because I know you, so I'm just like trusting that the homie won't do me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like, if I'm going to walk in here and just be like first time buyer and I need a loan or a personal loan or a home loan, whatever. And you guys are like, I assume and I trust that you guys are like the, you guys are efficient in this and well, knowledge and everything in this category, that you will kind of break it down to me. Because it's hard for a lot of people, especially again,
after '08 and The Big Short. You know
yep.
what I mean?
And like, let's say you come from an immigrant family and this is the first time you are going to reach out to someone too. And it doesn't matter, like they don't speak English, and now it's like they just want their parents not to get taken advantage of, or their grandparents, or this is like the siblings all come together to buy a house, but it's like, we don't know any of this, like we don't know any of this process. Please don't screw us over. How do we do this? What can we qualify for? And it's like, I know it must suck when it's like, okay, there's nothing I can do about these numbers.
And it's a twofold thing on that too, because sometimes, like, because the way that we're structured in a way that we beat out 90% of our competition. And we do that on purpose. We reduced our overhead. Well, not necessarily reduced it. We cover our overhead.
I'll take.
and then we reduce the company compensation. So that difference, we give it back to the client to give them better rates. On top of that, we shop it, the traditional that. So it's like super, it's that on steroids. So sometimes we'll give people a quote knowing it's the best option out there. Like I say with full but they don't know that.
Yeah.
They in their mind, I'll quote them a certain rate, certain cost, and I'm like, dude, like you're literally saving a ton of money, but you don't know that compared to what. Right. So it's kind of hard.
I was just gonna say, like, honestly, it comes down to education. A lot of people don't come, they don't speak our language.
Right.
And I'm just gonna explain to them from like, this is what you need to know as a consumer. So if you do decide to go shop, these are the questions you ask. So, and then at the end of the day, like they trust me now because I've showed them the playbook. Like most banks or most other companies don't want you to know what I just shared with them because then now they might lose that customer. But again, like he was saying, we priced ourselves in a situation where we're going to win. So I'm not trying to earn your business based off like, don't go and look anywhere else. Like I urge you to go look somewhere else.
Because then I look better.
Well, that's like I can like add to that is like when people ask me like I just want to know pricing and how much for this piece. It's hard. Well, it's like now again I'm paying you for your knowledge and how many years that you guys have put into this, invested into this.
Exactly that. Too.
I'm trusting that, and if I respect that, and I really am looking for. I'm not looking for the best deal. I want someone to like, okay, just take care of this. Like I just trust that you know what you're doing. Versus like me being like, I just want to get how much can I get? And I'm gonna go see what other rate I can get. So that's hard, you know.
I'll say this for me. I used to work for a company, and again now I understand margins, being an owner and stuff like that. Like I understand how that works. Yeah. And I was gonna get my own personal loan from the guy that I ended up going to work for. That I joined with him, and I was like, if I'm gonna go over there, and if my mom asked me, I want to buy a house, where should I go? I'd send them to him. Right. Well, then I need to be over there, and that's what I did. And then I became him. To make it even better, because then now there's nowhere I have to split it with him. Now I split it with myself, and I give that difference to the client, make it even better. So I see where you're coming from on that, but yeah.
But I'll say this: when it comes to art, and like I don't have tattoos, but the only thing I can think of is like a barber, right? Like I'm not gonna go and get a cheaper haircut because that's probably gonna look fucking stupid. I'd rather let me pay a little bit extra, and I know I don't have to spend more money fixing the problem. You know, like
make it look like Pitbull, bro. I got you, Mr. Will Ride. Yeah, I got you.
So like I don't know. That's where sometimes I feel like consumers in general, not just for real estate or whatever, like. Dude, sometimes it's not about getting the cheapest. Right. It's about getting the quality, you know, whatever. So,
and that's one of the things that I think is a big value add for us is because you get like essentially the cheapest, like as far as like cost, but you also get the quality. Because sometimes they tell you can't have both. Yeah. You either get cheap and get crap quality, or you get quality but it's expensive. Yeah. And I think we offer, and I hate calling it cheap, but we just, you know, we structured it in such a way that,
value.
But you get the
better
quality
value, yeah,
and that. So it's like when you get both, it's like, bro, it's hard. You know, it's winning, and then
like, I kind of think of car lots too. Like you get, I could see how people may come in or work with you guys and just feel like you're just a salesman, a safety salesman.
Dang,
trying to, you know what I mean? Though, but that's just a stigma, right? That's like I'm gonna come in here and be like, these guys are trying to pull my leg. Like I don't know if what you're telling me is, and that's what run curiosity versus the guy that's like, no, I believe and I trust, I feel it, like you're like touching my soul with your knowledge, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, I get it. Like I could see a passion in what you got to be ready to fire back, basically, and you got to obviously you guys have to know your everything, but that's just something that I know it's kind of like a very like.
I think it's also experience.
Yeah, experience. Okay.
Like giving, like really, like he was saying, educating them. Because I think what I was talking about more the nuts and bolts of behind the scenes. Because sometimes, like, because there's been times where the way that we set ourselves up, where there's a lot more meat where we can actually make a lot more money, but we choose not to. Right. And I say sometimes I'm like, the clients don't even know that. Mm-hmm. I was like, but I know, and it helps me to pitch it to them. It makes me feel better. Because then I'm like, dude, if you want to shop me, go ahead. You're just going to like me even more at the end of it. Right. You know what I mean? And then it just makes me feel better. Straight up. That's it.
And I will say in business, after all these years, I kind of learned my avatar, who's my client. Like, I'm not looking to serve every single client. Like, I only want to work with people that want to work with me.
Right. Well, then you have to have that integrity too.
Yeah.
To not break or sell out. Yeah. Into like a, you know, I get it. Yeah.
And I feel like in our industry, it's like a numbers game. And I was like, dude, I'm not trying to work to chase numbers. Yeah. I'm trying to live my life. I'm trying to spend time with my kid. We got T-ball practice today.
For sure.
Like, I don't want to be on the phone and be not present because I'm thinking about the next deal while I'm with my family.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of people lose
hard.
themselves in this game, like in real estate or just in business alone, because
Business
don't-
alone, dude.
yeah, like they just forget, like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Is it to put you're a slave to yourself, to your
For sure.
are you a business owner, or are you just an employee to your business? Like,
I went through that. I went through a
yeah,
divorce.
you kind of have
Yeah.
to. You kind of have to. And if you don't see yourself out of it, then you're just stuck in that cycle. And
Yeah,
see
I got so like I was so obsessed and like I couldn't separate the business that I lost a family at once. Like my two boys is different from my previous marriage, and I was just so like, I mean, it's not even to get into like the details of the divorce, but I went through that, where it's like that was my fail. It was being consumed so much where I was just not present. But again, but you're thinking one aspect of it, but from the outside, what it really looks like is like you're kind of killing the everything. Well, and it's not even the like again the crucial times that the kids need you.
Yeah.
And so now in with my girls now, they're 5 and one's about to be 2. I got a second chance, a second run at that, and it's wild because I'm a lot in business. I'm a little more obviously I'm more established than where I was when I was 20. And so back then, yeah, I had to do that where it's like you're doing that every day. You're ready to work from overnights and overtime, but then you're not seeing the other things that matter. Like the priorities are kind of everything shifts as you get older, obviously, but you're having like this mindset of what I'm doing is right, but you have to also think like I lost a little the younger youths of my kids' ages. Because I was just so like, and it's not even I wasn't neglecting them. It's more so I'm working for them, but then I'm also missing the steps. I'm missing the teeth and like falling out, things like that, or the first words because I'm grinding. You know what I mean? And
that was when you were out traveling. Or
that's when yeah. So I started my tattoo convention traveling 2014. That's when I started meeting a lot of some of my closest homies live out of town, out of state, dude. It's so crazy just because the bonds we built on the road. But I used to do like 3 conventions a month, man. And I'm not saying that to gloat or nothing. I'm just saying it was exhausting.
That's work, man.
But I did that,
and touring.
and my purpose and my reason why I did that was because obviously I wanted to expand. I wanted to not just. I don't want to be. So I moved out of the Fresno like area as far as shop goes because many reasons. I needed help. It was closer to home for my boys when I had the custody of them from my family to help.
Where did you live at before?
I was working in Fresno, but like I couldn't. So it's kind of it's taboo. But like I wanted to open my shop so that I can have my kids there also. I can't take them to a Blackstone shop and have hookers and tweakers coming in, bro. And I got my 2 boys in there. Like then I'm gonna get my kids taken away from me because it's like a child endangerment.
Yeah.
Versus, it's funny. My son's teacher one time, I went to one of the parent teacher conferences and she looked at me. She's like, "Oh, are you Emmett's dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, how's it going? I'm Omar." And she was like, "That makes sense." And I was like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Well, I was about to call CPS on you because your son says he hangs out at a tattoo shop all the time whenever I'm with dad." And I guess his mom corrected her and is like, "No. He has his own business and it's a private, it's like a appointment only business. So there's a space for the boys that go hang out with his dad while they're at the shop." But think about it. Yeah. Back then that was unheard of, dude. To this day, I know a lot of artists and I get it, but current situations, like my situation was like, I needed to open my own spot so that I can have that. Cause I still wanted to, and yeah, you could take the time off, but let's be real. When there's like, you got to get after it. And there's that thing you have to take care of as far as, like just life with whether it's the bills, whether it's the things you got to really be on top of as sole income. It's like sometimes you have to bring, I know a lot of artist buddies of mine that will like, they have a little daycare in the back of the shop. And some artists are like, "Don't bring your baby, get a sitter," or don't. Yeah. And I get it. Like that's just how it was. There's 18 and up only, but I'm able to control this environment so that I am able to, and my boys, they've been raised in a tattoo shop and I mean, think about it. It's unheard of, it's like
conventional. It's
different. Yeah. And then back to the convention thing, when I was traveling, I mean, I would only see so I had at their ages, I had a certain like schedule with them through the courts and stuff. So I would leave like on a Thursday, do a convention Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come back Monday, see them for Tuesday, Wednesday, go back on a Thursday after they went. Yeah, so that was my routine for a long time.
That's crazy.
But I was on the grind, and I opened so many doors because of that, and it got to where I am now, where I can take the days off. I can go to T-ball. I can go to the basketball, the flag football, take the weekends, which is hard for us as artists to take a weekend off. Weekends are the popping days. You guys could do the weekdays and take your weekends off, right? And I'm sure you guys have done Saturdays or Sundays that you have to come in. I mean, that's just how it is, right? Because we're like handling it by ourselves. But
and that's crazy though, because like now you're doing your thing. You've achieved this. You've achieved success. You've achieved notoriety where you have a client base and all this good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I want to be a tattoo artist. And it's like, you don't see all that I did, bro. Like, you don't see all that grind that I did. Everybody wants to do it and just get to where you're at, like right now. Yeah. Create a TikTok video and all of a sudden blow up. You got to see all that. And I guess some people do in their own right with whatever they did, and good for them. Right. But I don't think they're the example. They're the exception, I guess, of the rule. Yeah, which is rare.
Well, I mean, I feel like also too, they didn't build up to that. They just kind of got it. I wouldn't say overnight, but
it's back to paying your dues. You guys could say the same. Like a guy could come in here and say, "Hey, how do you get into this?" Or you guys taking any like. Would you guys have like a mentor apprentice program where you know how they have like some sort of people you can sign up to go get some sort of like what is it? They have like seminars or of something for learning this, or where it's like, hey, we're doing a Fresno seminar for loans or homeowners or whatever. Would you guys ever do something like that? It's almost like a presentation for like a group they could sign up. I know some certain people have done that in the Valley. Yeah. That are like,
well, some people do, and if you know what, if I got asked, I would do it. Like I got asked to speak at Sanger High.
Cool.
Next month,
right on,
in May, to go talk to some students about what it takes to buy a house.
So imagine now you're doing that to talk to people that want to get into this. That's like you guys mentoring them, but it's like, okay, guys, look, there's obviously there's a lot of dues to pay, and not financially. There's personally, like your life, your health, your everything.
These
like
grays.
Yeah, it's like the sacrifices of of going through, like literally what a sacrifice means, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like
there's like no safety net.
Right. Yeah. So, so again, like throughout the whole tattooing thing, it was just, I didn't know what was going to come of it. I didn't know, I started competing and competitions in the categories of conventions, and that also gives you notoriety. So imagine how many conventions I did since 2014. You're bound to have a following. You're bound to expand because every client I'd say, hey,
you're on tour,
shoot me a tag. And next time I'm going to come out every year to this convention, they have like a circuit, different guys that put together the conventions. They'll have like a full list of Cincinnati, Chicago, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, hey, every year I'm going to come this year to this spot, bring 5 of your friends, and I'll hook you up. I did that multiple times. Where at one point I was doing like 30 in a day, dude, and it was bangers. It was like small like flash tattoos, but I did the SF show a few times where I would do that. I was literally like, I had someone writing name, number, deposit, name, number, and I would see the sheet, and it was like 20 plus.
That's dope.
And this is barely like 1:30 p.m. or something, and times that me and the buddies that I traveled with, it's guys that I met on the road, and we would just bunk up together at these conventions. And those have been my boys to today. And so now I have them on the podcast, and we're going through like memory lane and reminiscing all those wild times that, like I mentioned, dude, sitting 12 in a room, and to now back to the beginning story, what I brought that up about, we used to fit like 10 of us in a little room. Now we're getting like presidential suites and like, you feel me? But there was a start where now we're like, yeah, it's all good, but, and it wasn't like it was like our sense of splurging. Like, hey, we work so hard.
Well, yeah.
Like,
dues.
Do something, right? Do something for yourself that's nice. Like, hey, I'll get that from clients that are like, this is my me time. I don't ever get a chance to do anything because I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm 100% this. And this is my me time right now with you, with getting this tattoo. And I'm like, I get it. And this is their like, then it becomes therapy. Then it becomes like a necessity. Then it becomes, it's a whole different.
And I'm sure you hear the stories, man, because like my wife, she's a hairstylist. So she's just like, I'm also a therapist because she's doing the hair. And I'm sure, like, especially because how deep it can get to when you're actually putting something permanent on. All right. So I do have some questions that I'm interested in just being a civilian.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire questions.
It's the best.
All right. So first one, you got one? You going?
Of course.
You got you went first? Okay. All right. So mine is, all right, face tattoos. How does that work? Like, I can't just walk in and be like, hey, bro, put one on my forehead, right? I'm assuming you have to do some sort of psychology type thing.
People have. People have come in and they just want. Here's the thing though, you gotta. They sometimes say, "Hey, I want my mom's name right here. She just passed away." How are you supposed to like attest to that? Or a guy will come in. He looks like he's fresh off the block, 18. He wants to get a rose on his hand. What do you got going on in life? What are you doing right now? Oh, I'm just trying to get an HVAC. All right, let's wait on the rose, or let's. I mean, sometimes it is it's kind of hard to say because I can't sit here and say I turned everything away, but I feel like it's part of our job to stray people into the right path with design, placement, and is it going to work or not, or if your tattoo is going to be something that I don't know if they're going to regret it later. None of us will know, but we have to have some sort of. I mean, and
have you turned someone away?
I have in ways where it's like I'm busy, I'm booked. If I'm not, it's just because I can't. I just don't feel. My integrity side of it doesn't allow me to do that. So there is a side of, but if you were put in a diagram, there's this side and there's this side in the middle, right? So the right side of artists that are like full send it, let's do your eyes, just do your eyelids, just do whatever tattoo you want, and you have no other tat. Let's do your throat tattoo, and you're working or you don't have a job yet, And then the other guys, this side that won't do it at all, and the guys in the middle that really want to take the time to talk to that client to be like, all right, so tell me about this design. Like, what would you like to do? Like a consult. So I don't do walk-ins anymore, but occasionally I will get the person that wants to come into the shop, and I'll talk to them a little bit just to kind of, they want to get a finger tattoo, and it's like, all right, well, fair warning, finger tattoos don't really stick. There's a lot of things that I just staple. We go through it. Is there any area you'd like to get it done? I'm just trying to give you all the warnings and like, because there's like a touch-up session, things like that. I'm just trying to like give you all the insight of it, because not everyone's going to know the same thing that not everyone's going to know to come here and what to ask about a loan and what any of this, like you said, the language. We don't speak the language. People don't know what certain things are going to heal, how our body's going to heal as far as the skin. Every skin is different. There's so much factors on that. But as far as the face tattoo, yeah, I mean, sometimes it does strike me. But nowadays, it's kind of like, I don't know. I think we would just do it because it's like who are you to like really question a person's like idea? Like if you have no tattoos and you come in, you want to get a dagger on the side, like a 21 Savage on your forehead, and it's just like yeah, let's do it. But then again, it's like, are you gonna? I don't know what you're gonna do from that point, leaving the shop, and I don't know if you're gonna come back. Yeah. So therefore, am I doing it for the turn and burn, just get that money, or am I doing it because I genuinely care? Do I see a value of like keeping you as my client for the rest of my life, or like to a continuous client? Like, there's a lot of things you got to think.
Yeah.
This is again like my own perspective on that. I know again other artists will just be like, who cares? Just do it.
Yeah.
Because I've been in those shops where like, hey, he wants his neck done. He doesn't have no other. Yeah, just do it. Like just do it. Who cares?
That's what it is.
Literally like that. And I'm just like, all right.
I forget which one to ask. I'm just gonna go right out the gate and say like, which one's like the weirdest one, or like.
I have a few. So the one that just stuck to me he's actually a good buddy of mine, but he's an avid duck hunter. He's a huge outdoors man. Ducks have a band on their legs, like they have like a certain. It's like almost like a dog tag for ducks. It's like it goes around the little silver, right? His first duck that he shot, he got that to a human's scale on his ankle. So the ducks have that little it's like a band around the little foot. Yeah. It's literally a little band, a duck tag, right? So he got a human-sized duck tag on. Shout out John, man, he's the homie, bro. But he's down, dude. He's like sponsored, by like duck call companies and stuff. But what the scale would be duck to our, yeah. But he surpasses that. He's like live life, breed like duck, deer, moose, turkey. He does it all, dude. So he actually was barbecuing for John Madden.
Oh dang!
Oh really?
He had property in Los Banos, and he was like his personal barbecue like cook. Whenever John Madden would come out, and people didn't even know he was in town, and he's out there barbecuing it up. So he knows this, yeah. So he got a duck band around his ankle, what our scale life, but with like the information of the first duck he shot. Dang. Then he did a little something like tribute. The next one would be when I was working in San Jose, wild time, because those guys out there in San Jose walking life, traffic was just like, dude, a pimp brought in all his hoes one time, and he was like, get them what they want, here's my card, left. literally 5 chicks there, and I was like, must have been like a strong week or something. But
They killed it
literally
that week?
every artist got a worker, and we're like getting, and it wasn't nothing. They didn't get nothing like eccentric, like some wild areas. It's just the fact that the homeboy brought like all these chicks
Brought the
in,
stable?
and he bounced literally like a Cat Williams looking dude.
Oh, yeah.
And then he came back after, like one of them called him, like we're all done or whatever. And I worked in Gilroy at the time, and that was a pretty crazy time. But this guy comes in this one time, and he's like, hey, I have a request. I kind of have an idea. I want to get something done. It's a small tattoo. And I'm like, what is it? And he's like, I would like to get ants coming out of my waistline. And I don't know. It was just one of those weird things.
Yeah.
So ants out coming out of my pants. Basically, that's what he
Ants in
said.
my
So he
pants.
wanted like a little trail of ants, like little. It was just you get random things like that though. I think that's like the weirdest. I never done anything that's like I don't know, some weird like
Yeah,
off the wall things. Because
yeah.
again, it's like I would then. You could kind of tell. You like the whole psychology thing you mentioned. Like then you could kind of like, yeah, I'm actually booked, dude. You'd have to make an
Yeah.
appointment or.
What about gang tattoos?
I don't touch them. Not even. I've covered some stuff when they again. It would be like people come in and they ask for it, but we have to be aware of what we're doing as far as like it's not just the typical like gang that people would know or a number. Like what I say, I was just like, get that in your hood, dude. What?
Yeah.
What? Coming from that light, like not, I was never involved in a gang, but I rolled with the streets, like with graffiti crews, knowing that these gangs are active. I said, I would tell these guys like, if I do this, literally, not only will you burn the shop because then it's like marks me as like catering to whatever, right? It's almost like you're like a biker gang, whatever. I've had my situations where biker gangs come in because they just want to scope it out to see who I am. That's just how it is. There's
Oh wow.
like a royalty thing. There's like they try to tax you like this is like the 90s.
But since you're not involved in that, then it doesn't.
They just want to like, what's up, homeboy? Like, they want to look around the shop. They want to see my work. They want to see if I'm tattooing, if I do have, if they recognize me from the streets, things like that. There's a lot of political things that in the streets that happen.
It's better not to touch it, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, so keep it neutral but there's times when people come in, it's like I don't run with this anymore, and I'm I just need this covered, man. I'm trying to change my life, and I hear that out. I get it, and so I feel like part of the service is to be like, I can do something for this guy to really, But then they come in, they want to get something. I'm like, this means nothing if I do it. Why don't you get in your hood? Like it's simple as that. Get in your hood, dude. That's literally like that's code, bro. That's like street. That's law, dude. Like go to your hood, get it by your boy in the garage. Like get the Miklo, the Vatos Locos. You know what I mean? The blood in, blood out, bro. Or else it doesn't hold any weight.
Yeah.
You gotta earn that, dude. That's a badge.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, you see it and it's a badge, man. It's like, I don't understand when people, but yeah, you also have to recognize what are the gang symbols or like, in this day and age, it could be a Mickey Mouse with like, and that's like a certain gang or Aztec this, and it's a gang, It's just a lot of stuff, man. It's crazy. You have to really, like your guys' knowledge with this, you have to also know ins and outs of skin, the science of skin, the way things are going to heal, the way things are going to absorb, not absorb, running the science of the machine, the needles, the grouping, there's just so much to it. But you have to, again, put in your time to learn all that, not just pick up an Amazon kit and like, yo, who wants to get tats? You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, I know we're a little past an hour. I don't want to keep you too
Oh,
long.
dude, I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
like,
for sure. So
this is, yeah.
Well, I have a couple more.
We can run it.
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask, like, real quick, like, where's like the most painful spot to tattoo where you like know when they say this is where I want it? I'm like,
freaking
shit,
eyelid.
you're gonna take.
You're like,
That I think comes down to the person.
Oh, okay.
So like you have a different pain tolerance than all of us, right? We all have a different, like Jake probably like get his eyeball tattooed and we'll be like, I'm good, bro. You know what I mean? Though everybody has a different threshold. I feel like that. I tell people not to.
Slapping it.
Yeah, the itchy part.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you. Well, I don't know if you remember, but the back part might have been sensitive to you, like back here in the elbow.
Yeah.
I guess the rule of thumb is like thinner skin, more bony areas are going to be a little, a little more sensitive. Yeah, elbows, feet. There's obviously the ribs. Yeah, like knuckles. I feel like my most painful ones were like the third digit, right above the nail. That sucked, dude. Like your body instantly gets hot and you're just like ready to punch dude out. You're like, dude. Like those are, and then they don't really stick that well because again, it's our hands. It's like, yeah, washing. This is like we lose the most skin consistently in our hands and our fingers. But I do tell people, especially when they're first timers and they come in, they're like, oh, my friends just told me it was gonna hurt. Like, don't listen to anybody. You're gonna experience it. This is your own experience. This is what you're gonna have to feel yourself. Because who knows? We start off and they're like, oh, this doesn't even hurt. And I'm like, yeah, you can't listen to these people that are telling you like, oh, don't get your rib, and they sit like a champ. They sleep on their calf. They go to sleep on me. And other guys are like, let's just do line work, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like it's different for everybody. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you have a high pain tolerance, especially you haven't had a tattoo or anything like that, I feel like just starting somewhere small, like the easy spots, get an arm piece or something, or something that's like a little easier to get done, a simple design that won't, whether it doesn't have to like obviously it's something that meaningful, like you mentioned, like you'd want to get something that. Have you thought of ideas? Have you ever like crossed the mind of?
Nah, man, I kept my oath to my dad.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave my skin clean.
That's real.
Oh,
yeah.
I
ran into situations like that, dude. I literally know people. So I tattooed it behind at this rap concert one time in LA. Behind back in the green room, I was tattooing like the guy that was main stage. Well, shout out Fashawn. Fashawn took me out there, yeah. And so I was tattooing in the green room while he was gonna do a CD release party, and the green room, bro, was all these like celebrities and stuff, and people that I knew coming up, like Dilated Peoples, right? So I ended up, I got one-on-one with Evidence. He's from Dilated Peoples, right? And I talked to him and I was like, hey, like I'm all set up, dude. Like let's do something, because I did the Dilated logos on Fash that night. So I tattooed him, and then like Everlast was there from it was at House of Pain. I didn't even know who this was, dude. I was standing in the back. MTV was doing an interview with Fashawn, and like Everlast was next to me the whole time, and I was just like, who's this grandpa swagged out with Adidas and chains, and like who's this dude, right? I go back to when he was about to, Aloe Black was there and stuff like that. I go to the stage where he was gonna come out and perform. Everlast comes out and he does like the whole back it up, back it in. And I was like, that was him the whole time. I was like, dude, I should have given him my card or something. He was so cool. We were just talking, dude. He's such a cool dude. But no, I think that was dope. And Evidence told me that. He said he'd made a oath to his mom. He's like, I got no tattoos. I'm going to keep my skin clean. Yeah. And he was like, and I was like, yeah, that's respect, And I think since then, though, I think he did get something. I might be wrong. But at the time, I know he was really he made that a pact. He was like, I'm not gonna get a tat. I'm not. But it was just a part of me too. I didn't really hear what he was saying because I was like in shock. Like, dude, I listened to I grew up on Dilated, bro. Like, DJ, all these guys, like, you know what I mean? And I was just kind of like, I've heard that story, and you just learn you understand, and it's like you never,
There's times where I was like, fuck it, dude.
So does your wife have any, or?
She has.
Okay,
she has, like,
and your dad has like the old OG ones, right? Or wait, who has tattoos?
My brothers.
Your brothers, sorry. So your brothers have the old.
Yeah, they just friends in the garage.
There you go. Get it done. Get a little 6-pack and get it happen, huh?
That's what's up, right?
Like, hey, bring me the needles, yeah.
I was like probably 12. My dad came home from work, and my brother just got another tattoo, and that's when he just was like, I don't care what you do in your life, just don't get any tattoos. Just promise me that.
That's real.
He told me that?
Yeah. I was like, all right. Because my brothers were in and out of trouble, and he thought it was, it's all, it's what you see is what you think is part of,
they're all tied. It's all tied together. Yeah. Like the tattoos, so and it's like,
all right.
Yeah,
but
it's tough.
So last question, we'll start bringing it to an end.
Yeah, sure.
You also have a podcast called Tattooing Out Loud.
Tattooing Out Loud. Go check it out.
Yeah, for sure. So, what got you to start that, and how's it? I mean, it seems like it has a good following. They're pretty cool. I actually watched a couple of the pods.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's that? Like,
yeah, I appreciate it. It's been quite, it's been quite the experience. Like we were kind of talking a little bit earlier how when it first started to where it is now, you see the evolution of it where it looks cleaner. It looks cleaner. But a client inspired me to do it. I had the idea, and there are times when we have great conversations in the shop, and it gets lost because there's obviously no one's recording. That wasn't ever a thing. We just talk. That was like almost like the it's like the HIPAA, right? It's kind of like what says in here stays in here kind of thing. But some of it was real like good combos. It's like, dude, someone needs to hear this. Like inspirational. I was tattooing a client, and we're first time I met him and everything, and I was doing this piece on him, and he was just, dude, off the rip, he just kind of opened up, told me his whole story, and I was like, man, it was inspiring to just be like, again, I like to, I guess I can relate. So I was like, that's pretty dope. Then I'm thinking, I had my other artists, and we started kicking around the idea, and we're like, we should do the podcast. And I was like, you know what? If we're gonna do it, we need to like do it, not just talk about it. Like, so I set it all up. Part of it was I wanted to get together a lot of the guys that I've worked with, and even like on the road and stuff like that, and kind of bridge a gap in this community where it sucks because I don't like to hear this whole, artists and shops. When I was coming up, and it was a different, I don't want to say it was a different time, but the mindset was very like if this was a shop, this is all, we only vibe with these guys here. This is the crew. This is everybody outside this door. Like, we don't at all have no kind of, we don't care to, when I worked in the Bay, there was a time when we were all booked and busy, and the owner was like, hey, let me call the shop down the street to see if they have an opening for you. That was unheard of. That was the first time I've ever seen that somebody was about to send the business to another shop. They were like, hey, we're all booked. Let me call the guys down in Morgan Hill or something. Like, see if they're open. Hey, yeah, we got this. And obviously, because they're buddies, when I started traveling, I seen the community. I seen the sense of, now it's like family reunions. When I go to like conventions, I sometimes don't even want to work. I want to go kick with the boys. You know what I mean? It's like, because I haven't seen these guys in forever. So on Zoom, we'll do a lot of the episodes. Actually, next Monday, I'll be recording in LA with an artist from Colorado that I worked with in Hollister. And she's been tattooing for a long time, an amazing artist. And we're getting together at A4S Studios in Burbank. Mm-hmm. So we're recording in-house there because they'll be hosting like our episode together. But then I also have other guys that I've just met and known, and just people that, it's nice for everybody to see the fact that we can sit down together and talk. Like, the way it is in conventions, you usually, artists, after the convention's over, we all have like a after party gathering, and we all like, hey, where are you guys from? Oklahoma. Where are you from? Oh, Arkansas, Texas. And it's like, that's what's up. Here's my card. Here, take my card. And dude, that camaraderie right there is amazing, bro. And
that's how we do it too. Like in the industry, is like, and then I've even had, because I was part of a coaching program where there was, people that were in it from all over the U.S. Yeah. So like I had a guy from Florida, and he's like, hey, I have this family that's moving to California. I'm going to refer them to you and stuff like that. So it's like, if you're in Kentucky, I got somebody for you. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
absolutely. Yeah. And not only that, like, let's say we want to take a trip somewhere, go to New York. You have a spot out there. You can go tattoo out there. So in May, I'll be going to the Midwest to tattoo. And then June, I'll be going to the East Coast to tattoo. Nice. And then later on in the year, I'll go to New Jersey. But it's all from these people that I've met at conventions that have opened doors and opportunities. But I also want that locally. Like, I still got some homies here in Fresno that, again, it all comes to artists that care or not to care. I mean, I've been there too, where it's like I just stay in my own lane. I do stay in my own lane. I don't care to... If there's an issue, if somebody has the issue with you, it's a two-way. It's you have to respond to that, or you don't. Like the one-way street thing, where it's like, dude, your issue is your own because I don't care. I don't even know who you are, kind of thing. But it's nice for people to kind of showcase that. It's like two artists from one town over can get together and like.
There's plenty of business out there, bro.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Everybody should have their own. My other artist, Becca Martin. Shout out to Becca. She said, when we did an episode together, I think it was like, I forget what number it was, but she says, everyone's getting mad saying that they're taking away from the piece of the pie. And she's like, I don't want that pie. She's like, I'm going to make my own pie. Yeah. This is my pie, which is her clients, right? Yeah. And I'm like, dude, those that come to the shop, when I opened it in Sanger, they haven't had a tattoo shop since 96. And so when I opened it, they kind of made like a story on it because they were like the first... it was by the book, official, like licensed facility, and doing everything. Like there's also the legal side of things to do with. You can just open up a office space. Like I can just come here and tattoo here. Don't need to tell the county, and just run it until I get busted. But it sucks because then you guys would get popped. You know what I mean? There's ways people do that, but I'm like, no, I need to do everything by the book. I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm doing again. I want to building like the whole credit thing and everything. There's ways to like. And so when I opened the shop, I didn't want Sanger to think I was trying to, there's this like territorial thing. I don't care if another shop opened next to me, dude. It's not about that. I needed a place to work that was legit and wasn't my garage. And it's like, and I wouldn't have left any Fresno shop. The last time I left a Fresno shop is because I was relocating to the Bay. When I moved back, I was just guest spotting at a Fresno shop until I opened my own shop because I knew where I was in the situation with my custody. Like, okay, I can't bring my kids here. I still need to grind. I have one income. I still have all the stuff I got to pay for. I got to bring my boys in somehow for me to be able to spend. Not because some people can say that's not quite spending time because you're working, but the fact of presence where I can take a break and just go mess with them.
Yeah.
They come to me, they need help. Hey, let's go get food, guys, and we'll go hang out. We'll do this. I mean, I'm still involved, like doing stuff with them, but unfortunately, due to this is my own situation. Is like I didn't have a lot of like options. I guess that was like my only option was that kind of. So I kind of opened the shop, and also to make myself look established in the court. So you see, I opened the shop almost by like happenstance, and I didn't even care to have a storefront, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just needed, again, a space to, but then fortunately a building popped up where it was like, I have a storefront, and I had the walk-ins, and I kind of just started, all right, you know what, let me just see where this, I wrote it out, dude. I did a grand opening and everything. Yeah, 2015. Now we're 2025. So it's been crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't think about that time frame that I've been open either. I'm not like until I sit and think like, oh yeah, I've opened this year, but it's just because we're after the chase. We're not after the back in 2019. I don't care about what I've already done. The accomplishments. I'm like, what's next? What's like the tier? What's the next level? What's the next? And so the podcast was like another avenue too. When I started that is because I wanted to. People that don't know me that want to get a tattoo, I could pitch them look, this is to get an idea of the kind of like transparency of the kind of artists that are here, and also to show what happens behind the scenes of like peel back the curtain at a shop, or at least the way we run it or the way it is over here, or like two artists from totally different shops that are able to sit down together and laugh and talk, and now we have a bond. And it's like, so many artists that I thought I knew, I didn't know their story. Like I knew him because we're working together, or we're like, we're traveling together. But I was like, dude, I never realized, I never realized, and I didn't know your story on how you got started. And those have been the best episodes, and it's just so interesting to me. And like, so it's been fun. And the minute and the moment that I just don't find to do it anymore, that's when, but I just feel like I have a lot of, there's a lot of scheduled people this year already that Mm-hmm. I mean, I recorded ahead of time so that I can take my time to edit, and I do the whole every 2 weeks. So when I first launched episode 4, I had 1 through 20 ready. Oh, wow. But I was doing, because it was easy to get down and sit and do this. Yeah. The hard part was editing around my schedule. And I did want to hire, like, I was going to go the route to like, hey, hire somebody, the editors and stuff like I was going to go that route, but then I'm like, the editing process, what I want to do is the story that's being conveyed. I want the projection. I want the message to be like, I kind of want to like drive the bus, especially when we're doing the podcast, the interviews. Like if I feel like something is like getting off topic or we do need to reel it back. I was like, I like to be in that control. Yeah. And by all means, I'm not a control freak, but when it comes to like, things that you can, like in life, if there are some things you have the power to control, why not do it? When I did the editing process with like the video and all that, I got the best of learning for that. And then I said, okay, this guy, I heard his whole story. I want to make sure that the audience or the people that are tuning in also feel that what I felt. So I need to like, and it's hard unless I had a guy like Jake, like literally on spot to be like, no, dude, I heard it also. I felt the message. I know what are important, things like that. But it was just hard to like really have someone here go edit this. And it's like, these are the times, or could we cut, this was like irrelevant, or this was just us rambling. And because I have like these topics I want to hit, whether it's like, okay, what are your views on AI art? Or what are your views with the relevance in social media? And like using that as a tool versus do you care? How the pressure of influencing, the pressure of like having to post to feed that social media beast of all your art. Like, I was like, what are your, so I want to pick their brain. And it's like and with the podcast with artists, dude, it's been very interesting to like.
I think the cool thing that I'm just listening to you talk right now, because we like to bring on this podcast entrepreneurs, people that have excelled in their entrepreneurship, whatever it is. But that common denominator that I hear every time from everybody that we've brought on was, it was just, what's the next level? Like where is the next, and how, like, because if you really I was thinking about like when you were talking about your story about all the crazy stuff that was going on, that your back was against the wall, and then that's where I had to, and you think about like how many levels there are, and how do you know which level you're on? So let's say there's 20 levels, and it's just like, well, which level am I on? Am I on 19, about to hit 20? Is at the end of where I'm at, or am I barely on 5 or 6?
Well, so I had that conversation with my wife about that. I was like, look, we hit these huge moments in our lives. It was like, we get married, then what? You get the house, then what? We have our child, then, you know what I mean? There's, like, I tell my kids, I'm like, I'm not working for the bills that we know we all have. Like, that's gonna be taken care of. I'm working for what's coming, dude. I'm not working for, like, you know what I mean? I'm not working for, I know what's due, dude. Like, I know what needs to get handled, what needs to get paid. You know what I'm working hard for, to, like, that extra goal to kick, that earning. What's coming next, like, it could be blindside, it could be life, it could be an emergency, it could be your schooling, it could be your, and it's funny because now I'm sounding like they say you sound like your father.
Sound like your parents.
Because then I'm like telling them, like, I want the best for you. But dude, that's what they wanted from me. And it's like, but then we capped ourselves, which it's in a good way, because that, again, we're not living with this whole, like, I find this, like, I made it.
Yeah.
Like, no. And you know how you hear these people, like, what happens to get to the top of that mountain, the hike? You guys gone hiking, you get to the top, you get the view. That's rewarding. Then you got to go back down. It's a quick down hike. But it's like, there's got to be a higher view than this, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I tell my kids that all the time. So because, again, they need to learn why dad is grinding. It's like.
And that's the common denominator of success.
Right.
I've heard, and to kind of add to all that, well, one thing I've learned recently too is just talking to, like, really, really successful people.
Yeah.
Is that you have to just be happy with where you're at now, because if you're saying to yourself, I'll be happier when I get there, dude, once you get there, you're gonna realize, like, oh fuck, like, I'm not as happy as I thought it'd be. It's just like the whole process, the whole journey that you've been through. I know it's probably been a grind.
Yeah.
But shit, man, I bet you it's so rewarding right now looking back.
It's crazy because now my rock bottom was once my highest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My rock bottom once was like, I'm in the gutter.
Yeah.
You spiral up, you come down, you know what I mean? Or it's like, and some guys' rock bottom is probably, you're like, it's nothing, dude. Like, very minimal, real petty. And now it's like, what? So again, we don't know. It's hard to say, okay, what is that pinnacle? What is that height? Right? What are we trying to reach? And really, until you clock out, that's like, okay, now I can look back at as alive, clock out alive,
but
you know?
It's that mindset.
Right,
Like it's that mindset of having that natural innate way of thinking that you want to continue to grow, and then you kind of get complacent. And I get what he's saying. It's about being happy, because, I mean, I think about some of the achievement that I've had, and I'm like, you know what? I'm proud that I've gone to where I'm at, but I'm not done yet. This is part of the journey.
Comfort is the worst enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't, if you're comfortable, you gotta look for something, man. Something's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they say, hey, like, right now, like, things are too quiet. Like, something's gonna happen, dude. You know, like, you hear that with, like, media or whatever. But it's I don't know. It's like, my purpose, I'm just checking these boxes, like they say, right? But I make sure at the same time, being a father, bro, has been like, especially with 2 girls, man. It's like,
Bro, tell me about it. I got 2 girls.
It changes the game,
everything.
bro. I'm just like. But again, think of it from my eyes. Now I get to start over with a business that is established, a lot more established than what it was. Again, which my rock bottoms aren't that bad because I'm able to, hit the plateau of life, right? So at one point I get these, like this successful month, like a great month, right? And then I got a month that's a little lower. Right? Season, yeah. There's seasons, right? But now, like, towards the end of the year, and then we also have birthdays throughout our families or whatever, like our spouses or kids, and it's like, we're preparing to know, like, you have to manage all that. They don't teach this they didn't teach this stuff to us in school, or to me, like tattooing, bro. Like, I couldn't sit there in school and learn the business side of it. I had to learn in the shop. I had to like boots on the ground, like you said. Like, that was my school. In school, like, we had, what was it, poli-sci, we had, like, finance. They never taught us taxes. They never taught us loans or, like, equities and, like, assets, right? And, like, protecting your assets, going, like, LLC, things like that. I mean, you hear it, but that language is so, especially if you're like, my mind's on mechanics, bro. What do I need this for? And that was my,
You're thinking like, I want to go work, just fit in the puzzle of what makes the world run and go be an employee, as opposed to thinking, hey, I need to learn the business so I can go own my own mechanic shop.
right.
Like
But then you face these things. Like I said, there's so many factors in everything. Any business you want to start, but I guess step one is to start it and really just go with it, because starting the business would be that lowest point.
Yep.
And then the strong months are going to be those peaks, and those months that you have those losses aren't going to be as low as your starting point, because at least you have something to go off of.
Exactly.
So I have a question though. Why the name Becoming Apex?
So our company is called Apex Mortgage Group.
Okay, got it.
That's the company.
Dude, that's completely, totally different from what I thought. I was like, oh, Apex, like successful, predatorial, alpha.
So the idea of becoming Apex is like, like we like to hear the story of what got you to where you're at right now, and
sure.
like the like what built that muscle, right? You don't you don't just
because I know I could tell y'all both, like, and I could just say that, like, this isn't it. Wherever I'm at right now, to some people this is like comfort. This is like, I'm good with this. Like they say, what's your retirement age? Like, what's your 401k like, as far as what number is good for you? Now I'm getting all like, I guess too like analytical about it, but like to some people they have a number where they say, I can retire this, I can get $1 million and I'm good, or no, dude, I need 36 because $1 million ain't gonna stretch that far anymore. Things like that, right? So I know this isn't it, but purpose, like I guess like my motivation, the motive and everything. I also just counting my blessings has been told a lot. Like a lot of buddies, and especially guys on the podcast, I've asked them like things like that, and they'll say, "Dude, count your blessings." Like for sure, you know what I mean? I'm like, I feel it, sure. And a lot of this. So you see, I'm with a lot of the guys that I've had on, like they've educated me just as much as I'm trying to like, open up their world. And I'm just kind of like, dude, I learned something new about whether it's a different avenue in tattooing or whatever the case. But like coming on here with you guys is cool, because this is like a whole nother. It's a whole nother avenue. It's a whole nother. It's funny because, like you said, hairstylists and tattoo artists, everything with like that service industry. You guys are also like providing the service, and we all do run parallel in one way, shape, or form.
And it's funny when we have this conversation. It's like how different, but at the same time how similar.
It's wild.
How similar.
I walk in here, dude, and I feel like I'm like, okay, yeah. I couldn't. It's like I don't know, like the how should I say, the impact of first impressions when I walked in. I was like, this is sick. This is like a whole headquarters. I was like, what all do you guys do here? Like, what do you guys need all this space? And I'm like, this is awesome. But I'm like, this is
it's all you.
This is a setup, dude. This is great. Like, no, congrats on also like all this stuff.
Brother. Yeah, no, thank you.
Like when I've known you, and to also like partnering up, I feel like that is. Partnership and anything like this with business you got to know,
and it's dope to see other people win, bro. Like it's so cool. I feel like you said, everybody kind of has like that mentality of hater competition and stuff like that. But I think that when you've been through the actual blood, sweat, and tears of what it takes to get to where you're at, and seeing other people do the same thing, because like I said a little earlier, it's not just one of those things where you just buy a program and all of a sudden you just get successful. It takes work to get there. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. So when you see it as real, recognize real, right? So you see other people that are killing it, and it's like I've helped people that I've gone to school with buy houses, and they're just killing it. And I'm like, bro, this is dope. I remember when we were in high school and we were doing this and that, and now you're doing your thing, man. Good stuff. Let's go. And seeing all that. So
even when I lose, I'm winning. He said, yeah. That's rad, man. No, this has been great.
No, well,
I appreciate y'all like having me on too.
Yeah,
like,
thank you so much for coming on. Do you want to add anything?
Man, dude, I know we can keep going.
Bro, I was just saying, dude.
That's what I was saying, dude. I was like, if we're here, like, before you know it,
he's about to start tearing everything down. We're still talking. Okay.
The funny thing is that, like, we were talking before this, bro. So it's like, this has been going on for a minute. So we'll start coming to an end. So go ahead, sorry.
There's a lot, man. I feel like hopefully people just chime in and really I guess to catch anything from this is to really reach out to you guys if that's what they're in the market for, right? Like as far as like a plug-in for business, like myself, like I mentioned, if I ever needed to go that loan route, definitely be. I knew I would have you in my tabs to be like, yo, I'm gonna help earn.
Hey, and I'm gonna go back, man. I think this is my sign. I may have to go back and get a little bit more.
Yeah, come through, and we'll even
right. That's all I got, but we'll see what I get next.
Yeah, but anytime like you guys want to come check out the shop, it's 1310 7th Street, San Diego, California, 93657. My Instagram handle is @IronXWielder. And then the podcast is just Tattooing Out Loud. You can find it on wherever you guys catch your platforms of podcasts and stuff. So
Omar, thanks, man.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.
I like hearing your story, man.
Yeah.
In 10 years in the game, bro, with your shop now, and I know
Yeah.
that it's gonna keep growing from there. So
No, that's
It's gonna be fun to watch, bro. I think, like I said,
yeah, man.
we
that's
build
the
this community
strive.
of
That's the
of
strive.
dudes,
Just
and
keep
it's
climbing.
gonna be fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're just keep climbing, man, and yeah, man.
go.
Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jake.
for sure. Thanks, guys. Alrighty.